Welcome back to the Farewell North Devlog. If this is your first time tuning in, Farewell North is a game about restoring color to the world, and in the last 2 weeks I've been hard at work adding a number of new features and improvements to the game. So this video is going to go over a number of those features, and give you a bit of an update on the game as a whole. So just before we get started, a few people had asked me about setting up a Discord server for Farewell North. I'm really excited to say that that's now done, it's ready to go. It's going to have some dev updates, some behind the scenes, we're going to have pet pictures because the game is so focused on the relationship between a woman and her pet. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So you can see the link there, or it's down in the description below, and can't wait to chat to you more. So in the last video we turned this simple kneeling animation into a full petting mechanic, where the girl can pet the dog, and this was done using procedural animation so that the pet is always perfectly placed, her hands always make perfect contact, and in that video I kept basically turning on the color to show the animation, just so you could see it better than in the uncolored world. And I don't know why this didn't occur to me, but down in the comments we had a great suggestion to essentially turn this on every single time. So essentially, Litt Whitt suggested that the color be brought back to the world whenever she pets the dog, kind of highlighting the emotional calming effect that the dog has. So I implemented this effect. I also added a little bit of a camera zoom when this happens, and I think it works really, really well. So now anytime the girl pets the dog, you'll see this little temporary color restoration. It's purely temporary, and it's really just for visual effect. I don't think that this is necessarily a fun game mechanic, the way it pauses the gameplay and everything, but I do think it works on an emotional level and a story level to help highlight the relationship between the two characters and how the dog is essentially acting as this emotional guide as she's kind of going on this journey. And of course, this works not only during gameplay, but it also works in cutscenes as well. So I think it's, again, kind of adding weight to the cutscenes and also making them a little bit more viewer-friendly compared to the uncolored world. So I think it's actually a really great effect, and thanks to Litt Whitt for that idea. So in continuing with the theme of improvements that kind of came out of last week's video, I had applied the same animation rigging to pushing doors, but now I've added the same update to pushing boulders. And I've also improved this effect a little bit where the boulder hits the wall and kind of rolls into the water as opposed to disintegrating as it did before. And so yeah, just a little update there, but I think it's looking a lot better. So in previous videos I'd showed this effect of a bridge being revealed as color is restored. And I quite like this mechanic of having elements that aren't visible until color is restored. However, I don't really like how it was just basically appearing out of nowhere. There's no way for the player to really know that there is something there. So I've gone with something new and I've added essentially fog to the world, which can kind of mask elements. So now it's not so arbitrary. So you can see a cloud of fog and you can say, okay, there's probably something in there that I can't see right now. And so in this case, it's going to reveal a number of rocks. I think this gives a little bit more incentive to the player and a little bit more control, where they can see essentially an area with some sort of fog effect and understand that, okay, there's probably something I need to do to reveal something in this area. And in this case, it's going to reveal these stones. In the previous case, which I'll show again, it could be the bridge. But essentially, the player now is not just like, being arbitrarily handed the next stage. They can actually see it and seek out the solution to try and reveal it. So in this case, it's just an optional area that the player doesn't really need to do, where they can collect some wisps, which I added in a previous devlog, and do like a little platforming sequence here. But in other cases, it could be, the pathway to the next island or a whole new area or something like that. So I think this gives a little bit of improvement to that idea and segues well into the next update. So you can see here that bridge being revealed again through the fog, but more importantly, what you just saw was the first memory. And so I introduced the base concept of this 2 videos ago, but it was just a placeholder and it didn't have audio or anything like that in place. So I'm happy to say I finished the first memory. As you can see, it's hopefully this is clear. It's a little girl watching these birds with her mom and kind of laughing and enjoying it. And the memory then wisps away, and that's what triggers the color reveal. So this is just the first memory, but essentially each stone in the game will reveal a memory from the girl's life that essentially tells the story of the game. And so I have to create a whole bunch of these, so I want to make sure I nail the effect before I get too far on that. So just before we get to the final new feature, I have to remind you to head over to farewellnorth.com/steam and wishlist the game. This just lets Steam know there's an audience for the game, and it helps indie developers so much because when your game finally does come out, this is basically the key metric that Steam uses to determine how much visibility you're going to get. So it really means a lot. So for the final update, we're actually heading back to the very first devlog that I did, which is when I added canoeing to the game. You might remember that the canoe had a lantern on the front of it that kind of revealed color to the area, but I never really liked that idea. So as I was working on having the the color restore when the girl pets the dog, I had the idea to essentially revisit this canoeing mechanic and introduce little collectibles that can be used to temporarily trigger color as you're canoeing. So this can be used as a bit of a guide, but it can also make the canoeing more interesting because you can have interactions here like you see with the whales, similar to what you have with the birds on land when color is restored and the birds come back to life. So it gives the canoeing a little bit more purpose and it's a little bit more entertaining, but it also allows me as the level designer to kind of guide the player, especially earlier on in the game when they're not going to really know where they're supposed to be going. This way it kind of acts as a guide from island to island. So right now they're just like little particle systems that float there. I'm not sure exactly. I need to look into Scottish lore and see if I can find something more interesting. But let me know if you have any ideas down below what they should be. So that's all I have for today in terms of updates, but I just wanted to say thank you to everyone on YouTube who subscribed to the channel. The growth has been actually pretty huge in the last month or so, and the latest videos have had much more engagement, much more views, so it's really great to see that. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone who's supporting the channel, everyone who's liking and subscribing and commenting, and it really does mean a lot. If you haven't seen the earlier videos, there is a Farewell North Devlog playlist, and you can go here and you can see all the older videos. I think they hold up well, but they just didn't have as much engagement. But anyways, thank you so much, and don't forget to join the Discord if you want to chat with me and the rest of the community, and otherwise I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.